Mob Entertainment just released a new trailer for Chapter 4, and it introduced a new character we've never seen before. The trailer gives us a glimpse into what we'll be seeing in Chapter 4 and presents a lot of questions for us to answer. So hey everybody, I'm Jeeps, and today I'll not be only analyzing but sharing my thoughts on what's to come. So right off the bat, let's talk about the trailer. As soon as you start the video, we are introduced to a familiar scene where you could see us going down a lift of some kind, passing bursting pipes and poppy gas deep within the facility until we eventually reach the bottom. If this looks familiar, it should, because this is the last area we saw before the ending of Chapter 3. And a few moments later, we find ourselves at the bottom in what seems to be a cargo bay of some kind, which looks strikingly similar to where we saw Kissy Missy in her relocation video. Continuing, our character can be seen making their way through the storage area while someone or something else is watching them, and we receive a glimpse of a wall with the letters Caves 1C. Now, in my understanding, this could mean anything, but it most likely relates to a sector that the construction team was working on while they were manufacturing the labs and excavating the caves that we saw in Chapter 3. It also seems to be a home for a lot of the new characters we haven't met yet either, because not even a minute later, our character walks into a room with piles among piles of dead smiling critters. Oh yeah, that's right. We've seen this before somewhere. Mob Entertainment released a teaser trailer not too long ago introducing Baba Chops and the Nightmare Critters for Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. And well, if you recall it also shows piles among piles of these critters as well. This is the exact same room as the one we saw in the teaser trailer, and we're walking through it ourselves. And if you look closely, you can even see something running in the shadows for a few frames. Most likely Baba Chops, but it could be anything to be fair. And as the video continues, you could start to hear a distorted scream or sounds of steam raising up in the background, which I won't lie, for the first time when I was watching it, was kind of creepy when I watched the trailer. But as I was saying, we receive a clip of something stepping on a smiling critter or nightmare critter, followed by us walking into what seems to be the front desk reception of this new sector, which has a TV blaring off static in the center. But this is where it gets really interesting. As our character approaches the TV, you could see some kind of eye staring towards us on the television screen. This is just me, but it kind of looks like Seek from Doors. Just a thought I wanted to add, but that's aside from the point. Essentially, it turns red like it's enraging, and then the room goes quiet. Our character looks left and right before we hear something behind us. We turn around and voila, you see our new character, and possibly the new antagonist for Chapter 4. Now that's the entire trailer, but there's a few things I want to cover because this raises a lot of questions. However, with some reliable sources, we can actually put together some background information for what's going on here. Starting off with the big question, what is that eye supposed to be on the TV? We've never even seen anything like it before in the history of Poppy Playtime, and it really makes me think of some kind of mind flare controlling everything. But we don't know anything about these new characters, so for all I know, it could be linked to them somehow, some way. However, at the same time, the prototype who is the mastermind behind everything so far, we haven't seen his body yet and only his arm so far, and we know that he's been building himself. So there could be a possibility that this could be some part of the prototype we haven't seen yet. It really makes me think, but when I get more info, I'll hammer down on it more. The second thing that everybody is going crazy over, especially myself, is what seems to be one of our new antagonists for the chapter, and the trailer is even named after them, Yarnaby. Now the name should be pretty self-explanatory, as you can see the rainbow strands of yarn replacing their hair, thus the name. And aside from that, we don't really get much info about them from the trailer, other than the fact that I guess their head gets split open both ways. It's weird. However, with more recent development on the Chapter 4 ARG, we now have a lot of information which can assist us in putting some of the puzzle pieces together. Now I can't say for sure the specifics behind how everybody has been figuring out everything, but we have documents which explain who Yarnaby could possibly be. Starting off, if you look in the description of the trailer for Chapter 4, you get an experimentation number for Yarnaby, Experiment 1166, which was created around the time of 1990. And like I said, 3 documents match up with this exact ID number. Starting off, we have a Game Station's test subject assessment form, which was found by uncovering some documents in the ARG. Now, as we all know, in Chapter 2 of Poppy Playtime, we run through all 3 games mentioned here, which were once used to experiment on and test the capability for possible bigger body candidates. The page we can see gives us the name of the candidates, the proctor, and the PY, which represents the body assigned to them, alongside seemingly poor to medium test results. and the name of the PY being Yarnaby, so this confirms it. The real identity of the possible antagonist here is Quinn Navidson, and the proctor being Madiolata, which is an unknown employee that we've seen work on assessment forms like Candy Cats in the past. Moving on, we have a prisoner profile for Experiment 1166, which seems to be a post-experimentation report or overall analysis performed by Dr. Harley Sawyer. Yeah, remember that doctor who was in charge of the bigger body project who actually created everything? Well, he's associated with this one as well. We learned that 1166 actually feels attachment to a select few security staff and has great abilities in contrast to what we saw with the game station scores. Remember whenever I said that it was like poor to medium game station scores? Well, apparently he was hiding his true capabilities, and whenever he came to Dr. Harley Sawyer and Dr. Harley Sawyer reviewed him, his scores were actually almost perfect on some of the games. So they took him in and he became a bigger body candidate. Now this document takes place after Quinn was already turned into Yarnaby, as Harley Sawyer goes on to say that he's going to limit interactions to him and him only in order for him to build loyalty and connection, all under experimentation purposes, which is really dark if you go on to read everything alone. But what really gets me is the final document. You see, so far with these documents, I've been trying to go in order with the timeline. We started with the game station document, which gave us an assessment for Yarnaby's candidates and an observation from Dr. Harley Sawyer. However, our final document takes place after the removal of Harley Sawyer. This is important because it ties into the timeline for when Harley Sawyer was removed from the project that he himself started. Something or anything took him out, and we know this from Catnap's audio log with Leith Pierre, which also matches up with the timeline of his removal.
Hey, Theo. How you doing, bud? Normally I'd have Dr. Sawyer do this, but he's, out, let's say.
Furthermore, in this document, in association with Harley Sawyer, keeping the interactions to a minimum, Yarnaby actually developed a loyalty and attachment to Harley Sawyer. However, once he was removed for an unknown purpose, he grew still and quiet, only reacting with aggression to other Playtime co-members, similar to how a dog does with their owners once they pass away or leave. All of this was followed by a signature at the bottom from a doctor we haven't seen before, Dr. Carmine McRaby. And I feel like it sounds familiar. I think I've seen that somewhere, but I can't find any information on it so far. So if that sounds familiar, please tell me in the comments below. But what I do know is that Harley Sawyer was replaced sometime around or before October of 1994, around a year before the Hour of Joy, which will be pretty important for the timeline later on. And you might be asking, why is any of this important? And what the truth is, it gives us a deeper insight into who this antagonist might actually be, and how they could have tied in with everyone else we've seen so far. All the experiments we've seen have gone through terrible things with Playtime Co. so far, and I wonder if there's still yet another one to be shown to us, as we got a bunch of new characters in Chapter 3 as well. But we'll have to wait until January, as there's plenty more to come, and the release date has been confirmed for that month. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and if you enjoyed watching this, click on this next one right here. Anyways, I'm Jeeps, and I'll see you next time.